when Michael Jackson and Freddie Mercury almost collaborated. Everyone loves a good collaboration, and Queen's got some incredible collabs in their catalog. But did you know Freddie Mercury almost sang a duet with the disgraced king of pop Michael Jackson? Stick around as we check out the crazy story behind this incredible moment in music history. Queen's collabs are legendary. They include their famous duet with David Bowie on the track Under Pressure. Over the years, Freddie became friends with a number of incredibly talented vocalists. One of his best friends was Elton John. It was Elton who realized Queen had stole the show during their incredible Live Aid performance, and Elton and Freddie even had their own insider jokes they'd tell each other. So, of course the media went wild when Elton John and Freddie Mercury performed The Show Must Go On. But how did Freddie strike up a deal with one of the most successful artists of all time, and what happened that made their collaboration fall apart? Fans of the channel know all about Freddie's incredible life as the frontman of Queen. His early work was a bit of a struggle, but fans slowly warmed up to his flamboyant and wild side, along with Queen's larger-than-life and at times operatic sound. Michael Jackson was also quite the showman himself. He was known as much for his dancing and stage performances as he was for his music. Think about it, the man who stunned audiences with his amazing dance moves and glittery outfits, meeting up with the often shirtless rocker. It would have been one for the history books. As Freddie and Queen were hitting their stride, Michael Jackson was also at the pinnacle of his career with his 1982 release Thriller. While Queen was famous and incredibly successful, their album A Night at the Opera had grossed a little over 10 million physical album sales. Those are insane numbers for sure. That's enough to retire on and then some, but even Queen's best album can't even come close to the numbers that MJ has pulled. Thriller is by most accounts the best-selling album of all time, raking in an unbelievable 47 million certified album sales. That's almost double the amount of almost every other top-selling album. And it easily beats other classics, like Pink Floyd's The Dark Side of the Moon, the Bee Gees' Saturday Night Fever, and even AC/DC's Back in Black. The huge disparity between success of Freddie and Michael signaled trouble for the possible collab. They had lots of hurdles to overcome. Even though both were famous, Michael Jackson was on another level. His fame can only be compared to a handful of other people, period. Then, there's the vastly different musical styles of the two artists. Was Freddie clout chasing with an attempted collaboration? Actually, it's pretty much the opposite. It was Michael who spoke out about being a huge Queen fan. Specifically, he said he was a Freddie Mercury fan. Freddie and Michael first met when he showed up to a Queen concert in person. In an interview with Lisa Robinson in 1983, just a year after Thriller's release, Freddie had this to say about their first meeting. In the early days, 3-4 years ago, he used to come and see our shows at the Forum in LA. And I guess he liked us, and so I got to meet him. He kept coming to see us, and then we started talking, and in those days, I think he would actually go out. He'd go out and have dinners. I remember going to dinner with him. The two talked shop, discussing music and their mutual respect for each other as artists. And Rolling Stone even covered a story during one of Jackson's backstage visits with Queen. This documentary portrays Michael as a shy character, not unlike the personality of Queen's own John Deacon. When Freddie notices Michael, he jumps up to give him a hug. The pair had reportedly been calling back and forth trying to set up a time to work together. The pair had a strange dynamic. Jackson looked up to Mercury since he was significantly older at 37 compared to Michael's 25. And Freddie looked up to Jackson for his immense success and industry knowledge. Even though the two had a huge age gap, Michael had been in the music industry far longer than Freddie, who only joined Queen when Brian May scouted him at a local college. That admiration eventually got them together in a studio where they began working on a collab for the century. While everything was going smoothly, things took a turn for the worse once they hit the sound booth. They agreed to start on a few songs, but sources disagree on who took the lead. Rolling Stone says that the duo were writing for Jackson's next upcoming album, but a different story in 1983 said they were collabing for Queen's Hot Space album. To make matters even more confusing, other publications reported that they were working on an entire album of duets. Although details are fuzzy, They definitely worked on demos for 3 tracks in Jackson's own home studio: State of Shock, Victory, and There Must Be More to Life Than This. Mercury even recalled that the songs were great. So why didn't the world get to hear their vocal chops on these 3 tracks? Well, Mercury himself recalled that they were both super busy at the time, which drove a wrench into things. It makes a lot of sense. Both artists were at the height of their careers. Then a llama got involved. That's right, a llama. One day, Queen's manager at the time, Jim Beach, got a call from Freddie. He was frantic and said, "You have to get me out of the studio." By this point, Jim was used to dealing with the crazy rock star antics of Freddie and the crew, so he tried to smooth over the situation. Jim asked Freddie why he needed to pull the plug on the collaboration, and Freddie responded, "Because I'm recording with a llama. Michael's bringing his pet llama into the studio every day, and I'm really not used to it, and I've had enough, and I want to get out." Some outlets report that it was Jackson's pet chimpanzee Bubbles that broke the camel's back. The llama's back? Either way, maybe the exotic pets are better left outside the recording studio. However, that wasn't the whole story. Other news outlets reported it was Michael Jackson that cut ties with Freddie over his reported use of cocaine. While the world of rock and roll is no stranger to drugs, hell, even Elton John had a few lines with Mercury, Jackson, on the other hand, wasn't accustomed to the fast and loose lifestyle that Freddie brought to the table. The two parted ways, and Jackson brought Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones to sing on State of Shock, which came full circle when he performed the song live with Tina Turner at the same Live Aid concert where Queen put on their best performance. Freddie reworked There Must Be More to Life Than This and released it on his own solo project, Mr. Bad Guy, in 1985, and Michael Jackson also released his own version of the song. After the fallout of their collaborations, Freddie and Michael began to drift apart. Michael was becoming increasingly more distant from society at large, spending most of his days at home. Freddie recalled, "I think he now just stays at home. He doesn't like coming out at all. He says whatever he wants, he can get at home. Anything he wants, he just buys it."
No, he just stays at home. He doesn't like coming out at all. That's what he says. I mean, he says, "Oh, whatever he wants, he can get at home." Because I mean, anything he wants, he just buys it.
Freddie went on to say that shut-in lifestyle wasn't his cup of tea. Freddie wanted to be on the move, to go out, to party and be free. So that's the crazy story of how Freddie Mercury and Michael Jackson almost wrote a few songs together. While the world can only guess what amazing songs they would have made, at least we have their discographies to give us endless entertainment. What are your favorite Mercury or Jackson tracks? Let us know in the comments below. Don't let a llama stop you from subscribing, and we'll see you next time.